A new rule, the only time you should take a gun into a Sonic restaurant is when you're robbing it. Yes, lately firearms enthusiasts have been taking their guns out to public places for play dates with other gun owners and their guns. And in the process, frightening lots of properly adjusted people at places like Sonic and Chili's and Chipotle and Jack in the Box, proving once again that America's gun laws are worthless and sad, and that its dining options aren't much better. Now, the other thing that the open carry movement is proving is something I've believed for a long time, that no matter how crazy gun culture gets in America, never think it can't get crazier. I mean, what possible reason could a person have for bringing a semi-automatic weapon into Home Depot? You're there to buy a toilet seat. I doubt you will meet armed resistance. You know, guns are legal. Okay, we get it. It doesn't mean you have to scare the bejesus out of everybody. Chill out, Josie Wales. This isn't the Wild West anymore. Clint Eastwood is directing Jersey Boys now. I mean, look at this guy at Chipotle. Now, you might not be able to see him because he's wearing a camouflage hat. But trust me, there is a man standing there. And I'm sure he would say that he's just exercising his rights, and by the looks of him, that's the only thing he's exercising. But what does he or any of these patriots imagine is going through the minds of sane people when they see this? Oh my, it looks like Vladimir Putin has annexed Chipotle. That's alarming. When 8 nitwits walked into Chili's last month, armed to the teeth, or at least to where their teeth would be if they had any, a concerned mother asked, "What are you doing here?" To which one of them said, "Representing our Second Amendment rights. We lose them if we don't use them." Well, no, Cletus, actually. You don't. They're constitutional rights. You can't lose them. Perhaps you're thinking of frequent flyer miles. And, you know, that's the thing about gun culture. There's not a lot of culture. It's mostly about the guns. And the problem isn't just that they're so legal in America. It's that they're so beloved. Guns aren't just a tool of last resort. They're awesome. That's why people stroke them and name them and take pictures with them. You guys aren't just firearm enthusiasts. You're ammo-sexuals. And before you try and deny that you have some sort of unnatural romantic relationship with your gun, consider this. You're taking it out to dinner. Because it completes you. Get a room. You know, I love Tiffany lamps, but if I couldn't bear to leave the house without carrying one, they would lock me up. It's no secret I favor marijuana rights, but I don't go to the Olive Garden and blow bong hits into people's faces. Anymore. Here's a crazy idea. Try going out without your gun. I know there may be some separation anxiety, but just think how exciting it'll be when you get home and there she is. Oiled up and just wearing a holster. Now, the silver lining in all this is that these heavily armed flash mobs that have been alarming people in restaurants lately have managed to do what thousands of progressive legislators could not. They got guns banned. Yeah, one by one, all these restaurants these restaurants said, no, sorry, you can no longer take a gun into Chipotle or Chili's or Applebee's or Wendy's or Jack in the Box. From now on, if you want to die in one of these places, you're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way by eating their food.
You've got it locked to New York's best talk, HTLA Radio 1.
This program is intended for mature audiences only.
Yes, it is. Mature audiences only. There you go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You have got it locked, of course, to HTLA Radio 1. With yours truly here, Chris Crash Jesus Taylor on the old horn. Yes, on the boom, as it were. With tonight's Crash Talk. Yes. Tonight's edition is entitled No Jews is Good Jews. Yes, I know. That's a little... It's a little over the top, isn't it, Crash? Well, yeah, it kind of is. But, you know, that's what this show really always has been, and I figured, hey, why break with tradition today? Just because it's the 70th anniversary of Nazi death camp survivors. Yeah, why would I care, right? Because, after all, we don't teach it in our schools anymore. Yeah, who cares? Who cares? Well, isn't that about it, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah. Today on the show, well, that's pretty much it. I'm going to be kicking a lot of people in the crotch on the show. If you like crotch kicking, I'm all about that. Yes, of course, the HTLA kids. There they are. Well, school's in session, kids. That's right. Because tonight's Crash Talk, I'm crotch kicking the USA. Yes, I am. For their turned backs and suppression of history on the Second World War, the Holocaust. And indeed, why not go there? Yes, I'm going to go there. Education, full stop. Where does it end? Will it end? No. You get all that and more on tonight's barnburner Crash Talk. Coming at you now.
HTLA Radio 1.
HTLA Radio 1 in New York City proudly presents Crash Talk.
Gentlemen, HTLA 97.3 FM in New York proudly presents rock superstar Crash Jesus.
Well, there you go. Are you awake yet? Huh? Yeah, I think you're awake now. So that means that technically you have the ability to listen. The question is, what will you do with the information you're about to get? Well, that's a good question. And most Americans, I would say, don't even know that today marks the 70th anniversary of Nazi death camp survivors' liberation from, the good old boys in World War II. 70 years ago. Yeah, 34 years before I was born and living on the face of this planet. These death camps were liberated by Allied forces, mostly Russian, but in the end, certainly the Americans and the rest of the Allied forces as well. Yes, including Canadians. Thank you very much. Yeah. And, well, what have we done? Well, we've done a lot of things. Yeah, we've commemorated certain days, December 7th, for example. That might be one you might remember, or you might not. Yeah, you might not. Actually, got to tell you, true story, happened about an hour ago outside the building here. I was out there having a smoke and hanging out with my buddy Mickey at the newsstand, and, this man came up and he bought himself a newspaper. And I figure, he's informed, right? And I'm talking to Mickey, and we're talking about tonight's show. And, of course, tonight's show is all about the 70th anniversary of the liberation of the death camps of Nazi Germany vintage. And we're talking about this, and the guy was standing there. Now, granted, he was black, but I don't view that as an excuse in this country not to be informed. He was 30 years old. I know so because during our conversation, he informed me he was 30 years old. Yes, he did, because I specifically asked. Because this man interjected into mine and Mickey's conversation about the death camps and the Nazis, and indeed Auschwitz. And using those words, death camps, Auschwitz, and Nazis, that 30-year-old black man turned to us and said, and I'm quoting here, "What you all talking about?" Yeah. What you all talking about? Well, Mickey's about 20 years older than me, so he was looking even more shocked, I think, than I was. And Mickey says, well, I can't say what he said because there's an expletive in there, but he says, "Get that out of here." There you go. To which the 30-year-old just smiled and turned and walked away. We looked back at each other and continued our conversation, but the conversation had taken a turn. Yes, it was no longer about Auschwitz or Nazi death camps or indeed Nazis or World War II or any of the rest of that stuff. It was now that in this day and age in New York City, a 30-year-old man, black or white, doesn't matter, a 30-year-old man is dumbfounded overhearing a conversation about these subjects, not knowing what they are. Now, I got to give him, kudos for at least admitting that he didn't know what we were talking about. Okay, that's something. But then what? Then what? Then nothing, you say. You turn and carry on with your day after listening to this show. There you go. That's the way it is these days, isn't it? We're more interested in our iPhones and our PlayStation 4s or 5s or whatever the hell it is now than we are about something, a little something called history. Now, back at the beginning of the broadcast here, I did mention that all this occurred 34 years before I was born. And I know about all this. It was taught in our schools in Canada. Yes, it was. In fact, we have every day. Yeah, well, why the hell not? Yes, every day. No. Every year, we honor the Allied forces in a little ceremony we like to call Remembrance Day. Yeah. Yes, every November. Same deal. Same station. It's Remembrance Day, and we remember American soldiers as well as Italian and French and British and Canadian and Australian, and the list goes freaking on. And it's a big deal because it is a big deal, and it's an important series of events in history. And, well, I guess I've got a lot to cover in this show, actually. One hell of a lot. And it all boils down to America's now lax attitude about pretty much anything. Except those stupid little things that we all like to infight for under the guise of rights, the guise of the Constitution, the complete inept guise of freedom. Yeah. We don't teach any of this in our schools anymore. We don't.